Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for taking the time today to join us to talk about single-use plastic shopping bags. My name is Emily, and I'm the policy advisor here at Retail NZ. I will be taking you through today's webinar. We will be covering everything from what the regulations are, the phase-out period and the ban, as well as alternatives that are available to you and how to deal with some customer pushback and accept the change in your business. We will have time at the very end for a few questions, but feel free to write them in as we go, and I will get through as many as we have time for at the end. Let's get started and talk about the phase out. So this phase out period began in December last year. And the regulations will be coming into effect from 1 July. This will cover certain types of plastic bags. It's important to note that the ban also includes bags that are fitting the description of biodegradable, compostable, and oxydegradable plastics. We will cover the issue of degradable plastics in just a few moments and get into some of the specifics there. Let's begin with the definition. The regulations have defined a single-use plastic shopping bag as all or new or unused plastic shopping bags with handles that are wholly or predominantly made of plastics up to 70 microns in thickness that are used for the purpose of carrying goods. This means that bags outside of this description are not considered. Just a few examples for you, which you may have seen around over the last several months. These are the types of bags that will be included. To be specific, the bags included in the ban are lightweight plastic bags, which are commonly found at supermarkets, takeaway restaurants, and other retail checkouts, perhaps even your farmer's market. Heavier boutique-style shopping bags. Thicker plastic bags that are currently offered by some retailers, as well as plastic bags made from bio-based materials or any plastics that are designed to be degradable. Specifically on degradable plastic bags, the bags included in the ban are bags that are described as being made of degradable plastic weighing less than 70 microns. So they still need to have handles and they still need to be used for the purpose of carrying goods, and they will be considered in the ban. This is regardless of what material they are made of and whether they're sourced from fossil fuels, synthetic compounds, or biological sources, which can include cornstarch. This means that the single-use biodegradable, compostable, and oxydegradable bags will be banned. The real question that most retailers have about degradable plastic bags and why they're included in these regulations is the why. While biodegradable and compostable plastics still have the ability to enter our water streams and still kill whales, fish, and turtles, they're also harmful to they do not enter to break down. There are very specific elements to how these different types of bags need to be processed. And oxydegradable plastics even break down into microplastics. Presently in the New Zealand waste climate, we don't have the national infrastructure to safely and effectively take these plastic materials, collect them, and recycle in a safe way where they are not going to be harmful to nature. Number one thing is that there are still options that are allowed. This can include things that you may already sell. So bin liners or bags for collecting pet waste, for example. Barrier bags for meat and produce. So these generally are lightweight and do not have handles. Long life synthetic fabric multi-use shopping bags. Bags from bio-based materials that have not been converted into plastics, as well as paper and cardboard. A key exemption is going to be the long life synthetic fabric multi-use shopping bag. So these are excluded from the ban. These bags are made up of plastics that are generally between 45 and 70 microns in thickness, and that are either constructed from nylon, propylene, or polyester fabrics and designed to be multi-use, or are going to be certified by an entity with the prescribed accreditation capable of carrying over 5 kilograms, a distance of 100 meters, for a minimum of 55 uses. Now, currently, the certification process is being developed. However, the policy intent that the ministry has informed us about is that retailers or manufacturers would need to pay an independent testing facility who is accredited by the JAS or ANZ or an equivalent entity, such as what's going on in the United States or the UK, to test these bags. So at the moment, while this may be an option, it is not clear what the process is to get it as soon as those regulations are finalized. Operation. There are a range of different are allowed. Long-lasting plastic bags made of lightweight nylon, cotton, recycled fabric, or jute. Cardboard boxes, paper bags, and long life reusable bags, and a heavier duty plastic are also allowed. So that means something that is over 70 microns. And you will also note that customers can choose to bring their own, and you're going to need to make the decision about what alternatives are best for your business. You are not required to offer an alternative at all. You may have some customers who really appreciate it if you did, but bags can often provide a form of security. We know that it's a way to assure that a customer has purchased a good. However, there are other ways of checking and ensuring that a customer has purchased a good once plastic bags are no longer an option. This could include something like checking the receipt at the point of exit from your store. Customers can also bring in their own bags, backpacks, wheel trolley bags, etc. I think it's important to just note that there are still some security risks with this, and it's important that your staff are diligent in checking that consumers are not putting goods in their bag and not removing them at the point of sale. Moving to a multi-use system overall is going to be a worthwhile consideration for your business, and it's important to examine across your business how you can move to more multi-use options. Degradable plastic bags are still considered to be a single-use product. Most consumers are choosing to move to products that can offer a more efficient use of resources over time, so lasting a longer life, and moving to products with significant improved sustainability. Most retailers want to know now, well, what can I do with my remaining stock? From July, any remaining plastic bags will not be able to be sold or distributed to customers for the purpose of carrying goods. But in the meantime, you still have a few more months to get rid of all remaining stock. We do not recommend ordering any more at this time if you're running low. Instead, if you are running out, make sure that you're communicating to your customers that they need to bring in their own option, switch to offer a reusable, or switch to another alternative. Local recyclers and plastic manufacturers may be able to assist you with recycling unused new bags. So it's really important that these bags have never been used before, or else it could potentially contaminate the recycling process. The best way to get advice on this is to contact your local recycler or your manufacturer and supplier that you receive your bags from. We do not recommend selling surplus bags, sending any surplus bags to your local landfill. Right now, customers are really driving the change, and most are already bringing their own bags when shopping, especially in supermarkets and farmers markets. For customers that do have some pushback, there are things that you can say to them. For example, you can say that it's the law that I cannot offer you a plastic bag, or the government has made the rules to protect the environment. We know that there are a few instances where customers are really wanting to have a better understanding of why there are no alternatives offered in the store. So it's important to make sure that you are communicating to your customers what it is that you plan to do from 1 July. Not all customers are going to be happy if retailers choose not to offer an alternative. But it's important that you're telling your customers if you are offering an alternative, and also remind them to bring their own if you are not. The way to do this will be by using different signage, advertisements, direct marketing, verbal communication, or anything else that works to communicate your message to customers. Some general tips to consider are to refuse, reduce, reuse, and think about the disposal of alternatives to single-use plastic shopping bags. Do you really need to supply bags or an alternative to your customers? Can you reduce the amount you provide by offering reusable bags, providing only if requested, or providing bags only for large purchases? Can you encourage the reuse to further reduce the environmental impact, particularly if you provide an alternative? Ensure that it is a durable alternative and can successfully be reused multiple times. Think about what to do with the bags or the alternatives that you offer at the end of life. Can they be recycled? Is it made of natural fibers? Can it be composted in a home compost? Most importantly, remind your neighbors and remind your retailers, because this ban comes into effect from 1 July. and we will no longer be allowed to use single-use plastic shopping bags with handles that weigh less than 70 microns. All right, we have a few minutes for some questions. All right. So we have got a question from Janet. Janet says, how will the ban be enforced? Great question, Janet. So from 1 July, MFE will have an online form available where you can go online and retailers, consumers, and suppliers can notify the ministry of non-compliance by retailers. The ministry will take charge from there and respond to the complaints that they have received through the online process directly with the retailer involved. However, the Waste Minimization Act also has the ability to lay fines when parties are deliberately non-compliant with regulations. This would be a lengthy court process. So depending on the issue at hand, that is still an option. But the easiest way to either let officials know is to go online, and we will make sure that we share all of this information once it becomes live. All right, and a question from Ricky. Good question, Ricky. What is the government going to do around other plastic packaging, which is a much larger problem? Well, Retail NZ agrees that plastic waste is a problem at large in the retail space. Retailers and consumers alike are really doing a lot to make sure that they are making positive changes. And as we've mentioned before, retailers are really driving this change in their own businesses, and consumers are leading it from the front. The removal of single-use plastic shopping bags is going to be a huge way to eliminate millions of bags from the waste stream, and that plastic that is already being removed is certainly a positive. But we will be working with our members and with the government on finding a solution to reducing plastics. All right, and one more question from Sophie. What can we do if we're already giving our customers biodegradable bags? Okay, Sophie, if you're giving your customers biodegradable single-use bags, so they're still weighing less than 70 microns, and they have handles for the purpose of carrying goods from your store, you will no longer be allowed to use those from 1 July. In the meantime, you can still provide those bags to your customers, whether you choose to give them away for free or charge is entirely up to you. Giving them away or sell them to customers. All right, we've got another question from Jeremy. New Zealand is a small country. What are other countries doing? Great question. So there have been several other countries, as well as various states within the United States, that have chosen to ban plastic bags as well. So they have removed them from their waste streams. And a lot of other countries where they're doing something similar, they are offering alternatives such as paper and cardboard, as well as encouraging customers to bring their own. The multi-use and long life alternatives are really what is dominating the retail space globally for those countries who have removed plastics from their waste streams, and most of that is coming from consumer consciousness. All right, we have time for a couple more questions if anyone else has any. All right, we have got a question from Mickey. Mickey wants to know, are paper bags any better for the environment than single-use plastic bags? The answer to that is very tricky. At the moment, we do not have clear scientific evidence that the production of paper bags are equal to or worse than the end of life for plastic bags. So this is something that we are still waiting to get more scientific research on. In the meantime, we still would recommend moving to long life and alternative options. All right, well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to join in today. We really appreciate your comments. We will make this webinar available to you through our website. And again, if there are any other questions, please feel free to get in touch with us and we will be happy to help. Thank you.